Welcome back to London Beautiful Life, and today we're at the Nuremberg Premiere at Odeon Luxe Leicester Square. What an incredible cast. How did this all come about?
It started with Jack L. High's book proposal for The Nazi and the Psychiatrist. I read it 13 years ago. It was the fastest I said to anything in my life. And I did an incredible amount of research and wrote the script, and then Russell Crowe came on board. And once you get somebody like Russell, and once you get somebody like Rami, agents tend to return your calls a lot quicker.
Of course. And also, obviously, the storyline is quite a dark storyline, or like a deep storyline. But when it comes to highlight days on set, were there any days, especially when you're off set as well, what were those highlight days like?
I mean, I think we had a lot of highlight days offset because it's an amazing cast, and we all lived in the same hotel. So we all sort of had these amazing moments after we would do these serious days. We would come back to the hotel, kind of look at each other and have a cocktail and have a laugh and stuff like that. But on set, I think one of the most amazing days is Russell Crowe and Michael Shannon have a cross-examination near the end of the film. It's the climax of the film. It's like a verbal gunfight. And we did 25-minute takes of the scene. And they were word perfect every time. I've never done a 25-minute take before in my career. I don't think I'll ever do a 25-minute take again. But watching those two actors go head-to-head was one of the highlights of my career.
Oh my word, that's incredible. And also, when it comes to like jumping back in time, obviously none of us were alive at that time. When it comes to research with that, how difficult was it to do the research for that?
I mean, it was a joy to do the research, honestly, because it's sort of, I love research, and that's sort of where I get my confidence and I feel at home. And then we had this incredible team of Eve Stewart, Darius Walski, Bartholomew Makaris, who was our costume designer. Everybody just embedded themselves in this because I wanted all of the actors to feel the realism of the moments they were having. And I think all of that does is it gives your actors confidence to live in the moment. So it was a joy.
Congratulations on this film. What drew you to want to be a part of this story?
Drew me to it? I mean, how could I not be drawn to it? It was a extraordinary challenge, one of the greatest of my career. I can easily say that this is one thing that I will be most proud of in my life, to be a part of this film, this story, one that asks us all to reckon with how we look at justice, integrity, how we question what evil actually is, and the surprising way that it arrives at us and how we face it.
I have heard from everyone offset as well. You guys were such a big family. What was your highlight from being offset with the cast and the crew?
I think the highlight of being with this cast is how much everyone cared. We were all functioning on top form, I think, and then we would elevate it to a higher gear. And in order to do so, there were moments where we'd go out and have a laugh and have a drink and be able to talk about the film, but be able to, take the piss out of one another every once in a while. I think that was important because you couldn't go into such a charged, fueled environment like that without having that rapport. And that letting your hair down needed to happen every once in a while. Not every night.
What was it like working with this incredible cast and obviously James as well?
Exactly. That combination of James Vanderbilt has researched and written such a detailed and accurate script, and then the resource of having YouTube where you could watch the entire trial in its entirety. The character that I play, Maxwell David Fife, there's no better thing for an actor. I didn't have to read because I could see him actually in action, talking and how he walked and how pauses he took and everything. So that is a gift to have.
You've done some incredible projects over the years as well, but what drew you to this particular story?
When I was at school, I had my A-level history in the 70s all concentrated on the rise of Nazism. So it felt like an opportunity to really get in the trenches, as it were, of retelling this extraordinary trial and story. So it was something that I'd read exhaustively about it. And then having the opportunity to be in this recreated courtroom in the studio in Budapest with this amazing cast of actors, that's a real privilege of my job.
I also heard you guys lived in a hotel together and there was a lot of fun moments off set. What were your highlights?
We did. Group sex.
I stepped into that, didn't I?
You did. No, everybody, because the material is so intense and demanding, So people having a drink and a laugh and relaxing in the bar afterwards, but like being in a kind of holiday camp, in contrast to the seriousness of what we were dealing with.
Congratulations on this film. So what drew you to this particular story?
It's one that most people, myself included, know nothing about, and it's a really fascinating, very important, very powerful point in history. And Patrikios, my character, is an extraordinary man. He lived an extraordinary life, and I think his story, deserves to be told.
And obviously, the story itself is quite deep. But out here, offset, you all stayed in the same hotel. You had a great time, had really fun moments. What were your highlights of them?
I don't know if there's a specific one, but it was great to get to know everyone in the hotel, and there was a lounge on the top floor that we'd all gather there at the end of a shoot day and hang out, sometimes to the wee hours, sometimes not. Never on a shoot when we have work the next day, but we had a lot of laughs and a lot of fun.
And what would you like audience to take away from this film?
I think there's a lot to take away. I think it hits points that are quite important, which is which are accountability, choosing humility over hatred, and there's so many fascinating conversations that happened after the war had sort of ended, and precedents were set through those trials, and they live on today. So I hope people enjoy it. I hope they feel something. I hope it opens up some conversations.
And also, you had an incredible cast as well. What was it like working with the cast?
They were wonderful. I'm looking at Rami right now. He's become a dear friend, and they're masterful actors. And as a young actor, that's a dream, to get to learn from people who, are so extraordinary at what they do, and getting to, become friends with them too. It was a bonus.